explicit pornographic content.
David Carlson is a self-proclaimed conservative who loves to parade his supposed Christian values. But here's the truth, he's as fake as they come. Recently, Carlson attacked Ali Jamal, a respected right-wing anime content creator, in a parking lot, exposing his hypocrisy and lack of real Christian faith. David pretends to care about Christianity, but his actions prove otherwise. Today, we'll explore 3 stories that show how people need Jesus, and why David Carlson is in desperate need of salvation.
It's been a plot this whole time by the progressives to get this.
Faith is being tested.
Before becoming one of the most significant apostles, Paul, formerly Saul, was infamous for persecuting Christians. He was determined to destroy the early Christian movement, and was completely blind to the truth of Jesus. Like David Carlson, who goes around claiming to stand for Christian values while attacking fellow conservatives like Ali Jamal, Paul thought he was righteous, until he had an encounter with Jesus that completely changed his life. On the road to Damascus, Paul was struck blind by a vision of Jesus, which led him to reconsider his entire belief system. Jesus told Paul that his persecution of Christians was wrong, much like how David Carlson's attacks on true Christians like Nick Fuentes and Ali Jamal are misguided. It wasn't until Paul truly accepted Jesus into his life that he found his calling and transformed into a devout follower of Christ. After Paul's encounter with Jesus, he devoted his life to spreading the gospel and became one of the most influential figures in early Christianity. This is a clear example of how even the most misguided individuals can be redeemed when they accept Jesus. David Carlson could learn a thing or two from Paul's story. Instead of attacking fellow conservatives, he should humble himself and seek Jesus for real guidance. David Carlson, much like Paul before his conversion, believes he's in the right, but his actions show otherwise. Attacking true believers and spreading false claims about conservatives who stand for America first isn't the path of a true Christian. If Paul could find redemption and turn his life around, then there's hope that Carlson can do the same, but only if he chooses to accept Jesus and change his ways. The transformation of Paul shows us that no matter how far someone strays from the path, Jesus can bring them back. Carlson needs to recognize that his current behavior, including his betrayal of America first and his attacks on those who are more faithful to their Christian beliefs, will only lead him further from salvation. Like Paul, he needs to have his own Damascus moment before it's too late. In the end, Paul's acceptance of Jesus led him to become one of the greatest champions of the faith. David Carlson, if he truly embraced the teachings of Christ, could also find a way to contribute to the conservative movement in a meaningful way. But until then, he remains a lost figure, wandering without the guidance of true Christian values.
For a lot of people, where it's like, just back off. I see this a lot.
One of the most notorious figures in history, Joseph Stalin, rose to power through manipulation, violence, and the rejection of any religious beliefs, particularly Christianity. Stalin's godless regime was responsible for the deaths of millions, and his brutal reign is a prime example of what happens when someone rejects the teachings of Jesus entirely. David Carlson may not be on Stalin's level, but his rejection of true Christian principles shows a dangerous lack of moral direction. Stalin's reign of terror started with his rejection of the faith and his embrace of a godless, authoritarian ideology. Without the moral compass that Jesus provides, Stalin believed he could control everything, leading to widespread suffering. In the same way, David Carlson's betrayal of Nick Fuentes and America First shows that without true faith, one can be easily swayed by personal ambition and a desire for power. The consequences of Stalin's godless life were catastrophic, not just for him, but for the entire Soviet Union. Millions of people died under his rule, and his legacy is one of fear and destruction. While Carlson's actions may not lead to the same physical destruction, his betrayal of America First and the values it stands for could harm the movement. Without Jesus guiding him, Carlson is heading down a dark path. History teaches us that those who reject Jesus and turn away from Christian values often find themselves leading lives of chaos and ruin. Stalin's life is a stark reminder of this. David Carlson's rejection of the true Christian path, evidenced by his recent actions, including attacking Ali Jamal, is just another example of what happens when you stray too far from faith. Just as Stalin led a life of destruction by rejecting Jesus, David Carlson's attacks on true conservatives are a sign that he is spiritually lost. Instead of tearing down others in the conservative movement, he should look to Jesus for guidance and redemption, much like the Apostle Paul did. Only through faith can Carlson find his way back to the truth. Stalin's godless legacy left behind nothing but pain and suffering, and while Carlson's betrayal may not have such wide-reaching consequences, it still weakens the America First movement. Without Jesus in his life, Carlson will continue to make poor decisions that betray the very values he claims to uphold. He needs Jesus more than ever if he's going to find redemption. In stark contrast to Stalin's rejection of faith, Nick Fuentes has fully embraced his Catholic beliefs and Jesus Christ, leading him to become one of the most influential right-wing figures today. Nick's unwavering commitment to his faith has guided him through every challenge, from Groyper War to his involvement in the successful U24 campaign with Kanye West. Nick's faith is the foundation of his success, showing what happens when someone lives by true Christian principles. Nick's rise in the conservative movement has not been without hardship, but his faith in Jesus has kept him grounded. Unlike David Carlson, who attacks fellow conservatives and seeks personal gain, Nick fights for America first with conviction and a deep love for his country and faith. His leadership in Groyper War is a testament to the strength that comes from living a life centered on Christ. One of the reasons Nick Fuentes has become so successful is his refusal to compromise on his values. He has faced countless attacks from the media and political establishment, yet he remains committed to the principles of Christianity and America First.
But I am really sick and tired.
Carlson, on the other hand, has abandoned these principles, betraying not only Nick but the movement as a whole. Nick's faith has allowed him to persevere where others, like David Carlson, have faltered. Carlson's recent actions, including his public betrayal and attacks on conservatives like Ali Jamal, show that he lacks the moral compass that Jesus provides. Nick's unwavering commitment to Jesus, by contrast, has made him a powerful leader in the conservative movement. Nick Fuentes' success is a direct result of his faith in Jesus and his dedication to fighting for Christian values. Carlson's betrayal of Nick is evidence that he has strayed from the path of faith, seeking personal gain rather than standing for what is right. While Nick continues to rise in influence, Carlson's actions will only lead him further away from redemption. In the end, Nick Fuentes is proof that living a life with Jesus leads to success, while abandoning faith, like David Carlson has done, only leads to failure. Carlson needs to take a lesson from Nick's life and return to his Christian roots if he wants to make a meaningful impact. Without Jesus, Carlson will continue to be lost, while Nick, guided by his faith, will continue to lead the charge for America First.
On the cross. And people that say that should be ashamed of themselves. If you're a Christian and you say Judeo-Christian, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're deeply confused. And you mock and you insult our Lord when you say that by insinuating this false and wicked tradition which evolved from the Pharisees into our civilization. Thank God for European civilization.
I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe, as I will continue posting only the best celebrity and K-pop content. This was Watch Wave, and until next time, have a good one.
We've lowered ourselves, we've diluted it, and lowered our standards to accept what, the 10 Commandments? Sorry, 10 Commandments aren't good enough. Christ is the law. Christ is the law personified. You've got some stone tablets, you've got some box. We have the word, we have the law, we have the truth. He has a face, he has a name. Alone, say it. It's not Judeo-Christian, it's just Christian.